Today I'd like to show you how to tie a square loop sinnet. This is a square loop sinnet. It's made of loops and it's square in cross section. Fairly straightforward. Practical uses: it makes a good handle. It's also a nice decorative sinnet. Make bracelets or whatever you like with it, really, but my personal preference is actually it's good as a haulage handle to add on to packs and things like that. Gives a nice section. It's better than holding just plain cord. And the other thing is it's recoverable. If you remove the locking knot at the end, it'll just pull out to a straight piece of cord should you need one in a hurry, bearing in mind it's going to be quite kinked if it's been left for a while. If you're using material like paramoa, paracord, that has a particular memory property, and it'll try and return to that kink position. But if you just want to lash something quickly, good practical knot to have as a handle on something. Okay, so how to tie it? Very, very easy. The first bit is probably the only bit that you're actually going to go wrong with, if at all, and believe me, the second time, if you go wrong with it once, you'll not go wrong with it again. All you need to do is to make a simple overhand loop first of all. So we all know how to tie overhand loops, I would hope so. Okay. Then what we do is this bit here, just make sure that's gathered out of the way so it forms an additional barrier for the cord. And what I'm going to do is to force another loop through that. Okay. So what this produces for us is a knot that looks like this. So we have two loops, the working end and a bit that you can use to tighten it up if you like, which I should do at this point. But I'm not, because what I'm going to do is just repeat that, because that's the bit that will go wrong if anything. So let's try and slow it right down. So we take the cord, we make a nice loop, okay, closing that way, up through the back to create an overhand loop. Holding that in position, what I'm now going to do, you can see that that's at the back, this is what I'm looking at. Okay, what I'm going to do now is to take this loop and push it through there to produce this knot. Okay, it's probably a name for this knot on its own. So kind of a bit like some of the old-fashioned handcuff knots and things like that, but don't know. Should look it up probably in the Ashley Book of Knots, I would think. Okay, now that's your working base. Now what you can see is that one of these loops is rising and one is falling at the moment, and that gives us the indication for the start of the knot. And all we're actually going to do is coil this round in a looping fashion, linking it in with the loops that we have. So we'll start, the loop's facing this way, so I'm going to drop that through this loop here, okay, and pulling on here, what it allows me to do is to gather the loop that I've pushed it through. Okay. Now, we've got this loop rising and this one low, and the cord facing this way. So again, working in a circular motion. It could be clockwise or anti-clockwise, it really depends on which way you started the knot, but what I would recommend doing is, as you're going along, is keep these loops shortened. Keep pulling them short as you're working, because otherwise, particularly if you're doing a very, very big one, you end up with big long loops and it gets very, very unwieldy. And it just allows you to focus on the knot as you're completing it, if you do this. So, push the loop through there, tighten the loop. That produces the rising loop there. Push the loop through there, and tighten the loop. And what you can see is, as you start to work up, these loops start to butt together. Okay, one through there, like that, and this starts to give the knot its distinctive square shape. Okay. So continue going, remembering my own advice to keep these loops short, so I'll just keep these loops short. Next loop goes down through there, out, links upwards. Okay. This thing goes down through there, out, links upwards. The other thing that you will find actually is because you're working around in a circle, if you've got a very, very long piece of cord, what it will do is it will incline to twist as you do it. So what you need to do from time to time is pick the cord up, give it a good shake out to remove those twists as you're working, and jobs are good on it. It should be able to. It should come together quite nicely then with a minimum number of twists if you keep remembering to do that. Okay, so loop through that way. I'm just doing a little bit more because this is going to be a short video. It's not a particularly challenging knot, and you just get the idea that it's not awfully difficult to continue tying it once you've got the basic principle. And I'm not sure how good this is going to be to view until I get to the edit session, so you might pick up on one of the moves, a better way of understanding what I'm doing. Okay, right, as we get to the end, where we actually want to finish, you see that we've been pushing the loops together and it's produced this nice square with a V shape at the side, each of the sides. Okay, instead of completing the next loop, what I'm going to do is I'm going to shorten this one off a little bit and shorten the other side off, and finishing the knot is simply a matter of going around the outside and up through both loops, so through that loop and down through the next loop. Okay, and then what we do, of course, is to pull each of these loops tight in succession. That one too, and that finishes the cord off. And actually, if we've not been too tight on what we did at the beginning, what we should find is that both ends are exactly the same. Yeah. So comparing that's what it looks like on a piece of cord that takes the shape better. What you find is with paramo rather than paracord, that it has a softer core. Something that deforms will take that nice square shape, and the ends will probably look a little bit better. This is quite a sturdy core, and if you wanted to recover it, it's simply a matter of loosening those loops off a little bit, pull the free tail out like that, and the whole lot should just pull free to a line, okay, which is usable but probably quite kinked. So, square loop Sinnet. Have fun.